Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion on research and innovation in education, role of higher educational institutions. This is Dadwal. I head marketing for higher education segment at TCS ION. I would like to introduce our eminent educators for today's panel discussion. So I will start with Krishnan, who is our business unit head for higher education at TCS ION. So Krishnan is a business unit head for higher education at TCS ION, which is a strategic unit of TATA Consultancy services. Krishnan carries rich experience across geographies in the US, Europe, and India, working closely with Fortune 500 clients across industry verticals such as banking, telecom, manufacturing, retail, and education. Krishna has held several leadership positions in strategy, business development, delivery, and products, and has been part of TCS ION right from its inception. With a keen understanding of client priorities and a deep domain knowledge of key industries, he has conceptualized several new products, platforms, and services in Tata Consultancy services that have helped global clients reimagine their business and drive value creation for their consumers. So welcome, Krishnan. Yeah. Our first eminent educator is Dr. V Ramgopal Rao, Director from IIT Delhi. Dr. Rao is currently the director at IIT Delhi. Before joining IIT Delhi as a director in April 2016, he served as a P.K. Kelkar Chair Professor for Nanotechnology in the Department of Electrical Engineering and as the Chief Investigator for the Center of Excellence in Nanoelectronics Project at IIT Bombay. Dr. Rao has over 450 research publications in the area of nanoscale devices and nanoelectronics, and is an inventor of 45 patents and patent applications, which include 17 issued US patents. Professor Rao has been honored with the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Engineering Science in 2005 and the Infosys Prize in 2013. Dr. Rao has also received the Swarna Jayanti Fellowship Award from the Department of Science and Technology, IBM Faculty Award, Best Research Award from the Intel Asia Academic Forum, Techno Mentor Award from the Indian Semiconductor Association, DAE SRC Outstanding Research Investigator Award, NASI Reliance Platinum Jubilee Award, JC Bose National Fellowship, to name a few. Dr. Rao is also the editor of IEEE Transactions on Electronic Devices during 2003 to 2012, and for the CMOS devices and technology area, and currently serves on the editorial advisory board of ACS Nanoletters, a leading international journal in nanotechnology. He is a distinguished lecturer at IEEE Electronic Devices Society and interacts closely with many semiconductor industries both in India and abroad. Welcome, Dr. Rao. Moving to our next distinguished eminent educator, Dr. Mangesh Karad, the Executive President of MIT ADT University, Pune. Dr. Karad is being widely acknowledged as a visionary and a far-sighted leader who has made a significant contribution towards the growth of higher education in Maharashtra. He is instrumental in the diversification of the course and programs at the MIT ADT University, Pune. He is being credited for launching niche programs in the field of marine engineering, bioengineering, and food technology, to name a few. The multidisciplinary approach and the micro-specializations in the MIT ADT University are the manifestations of his out-of-the-box thinking. He is famous for his benevolence and acts of philanthropy. He has been making concreted efforts from the pilgrimage upliftment and social transformation. He is holding various portfolios in associations, universities, and government bodies. He is amongst the management council members of the Pune University. He has also empaneled as an advisory board member for the Planning Commission in the past. He is currently heading PERA as the president and officiating as a vice president for the EPSI, which is the Education Promotion Society of India. Welcome, Dr. Karad, sir. So our third eminent educator is Dr. Vinay Dadwal. Director of Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology from Trivandrum. So Dr. Dadwal is the incumbent director of the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, Trivandrum, a deemed to be university under the Department of Science, Government of India. Dr. Dadwal obtained his postgraduate degree and PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute in plant psychology. Before joining IISc, he was the director and associate director of National Remote Sensing Center, which is NRSC, a major center of ISRO, and has been the Dean of Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, Dehradun, from 2004 to 2010, and concurrently director in charge of UN Center for Space Science and Technology in Asia Pacific from 2006 to 2010. His major achievements are in the area of Earth observation applications, including developing techniques for crop forecasting using Earth observations, and violent NRSC realization of National Geospatial Portal Bhuvan, National Database for Emergency Management, National Information System for Climate and Environmental Studies, space-based inputs for sustainable development and planning, Water Resource Information System, Disaster Management Support Program, to name a few, and in satellite data acquisition and processing, including the realization of IM Geos and the ground station at Antarctica. Welcome, Dr. Vinay Dadwal, sir.
Thank you.
Our last but not the least, the eminent educator, we have Dr. Chandra Pujari, Director of Strategic Planning from MIT ADT University, Pune. Dr. Pujari brings in 25 years of professional experience in teaching and research guidance in networking, management, and executive leadership in the engineering and technology discipline. Dr. Pujari has served as an expert member of the National Board of Accreditation, NBA, AICTE, ABET, UGC, universities, and IE of India. He has been visiting various institutes and universities in India as an expert member of accreditation. He has also served as an external auditor, academic auditor for ISO certified institutions. Dr. Pujari has responsibility for defining, executing several national and international conferences, workshops, seminars, symposiums, and faculty development programs. In addition to academic, he has published 75 research papers in national and international reputed journals. He has guided about 12 PhDs and guiding about 4 research scholars in the field of computer science and engineering. Dr. Pujari has been associated with Bharat Ratna late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, then the President of India, for various projects under PURA, which is Providing Urban Facilities to Rural Areas Project Scheme. He has completed few research projects under ISRO, DST, and AICTE also. He is now doing project under European Commission, Spain. Welcome, Dr. Pujari. So with this, I would like to hand it over to our moderator, Krishnan, to set the context and to start the panel discussion. Over to you, Krishnan.
Thank you, Darshan, for that very warm introduction. And let me also take this moment to welcome our esteemed panelists today. I consider it a great honor and privilege to be moderating this session. And at the same time, I also want to extend a warm welcome to many educators, leaders from academia, partners of TCS who have joined us in this virtual meet. Thank you for taking time out for what is going to be a very good discussion with some of the thought leaders. At the outset, I want to say that the national education policy has created a wonderful forward-looking framework for making sure that the country's education system is transformed. We do see a great possibility of institutions moving to multidisciplinary education. And as the policy states, the focus on research and innovation enabled through technology. The last 1 year has been quite difficult for the higher education system with the onset of the pandemic. And I salute all the educators, faculty members, teachers who have embraced technology to ensure that education does not get disrupted. And as we look to the future, the uncertainty continues to prevail with COVID resurging and a lot of the academic institutions thinking twice on how they should move forward, how should they strategize. But at the same time, one thing is certain that what we knew education before the pandemic has significantly transformed. We are going to see a new wave of education. And as they say, no country has transformed and become a developed nation without focusing on its higher education ecosystem. And with that, let me turn over to Dr. Ramgopal with one of the first questions that I had. And Dr. Ramgopal, in one of your recent talks, you spoke about that today parents and students are very much focused on outcome orientation, whether when they come to choose a program, degree program. And in the context of our discussion today on research and innovation requires a much more long-term view, investment in it, and staying. It's like running a marathon. So, how would you advise that we bring about a change in mindset among students, amongst parents, and amongst educators to invest their career for long term? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Krishnan. Very happy to be part of this panel. In fact, IITs, as you know, have a close linkage with TCS ION. All our JEE examinations are held using the TCS ION platforms and your centers. So I'm happy to be on this panel. There's a lot of echo coming. Maybe if you can mute others, that will be better. When it comes to this problem of students having a closed mind and being very stereotypical in their career choices, I think it's a national problem. I mean, it's more of a social problem. If you think of it, India is a young country. Of course, we are a very ancient civilization, but I think in terms of independence, we are just 73 years old, and we still have that colonial kind of a mindset. And also, we are in a very resource constrained kind of a society. I think the first thing that comes on top of everything else is to secure one's future. I mean, whether you talk to the parents or the children, everybody is looking at, how do I secure the future of my son or daughter and things like that. So I think for them, coming to IIT provides that security. That's the only reason why, so many people aspire to get into IITs, because once, your child gets into IIT, then it's taken care of. Then life is set kind of a mindset. And I think, coming from that kind of a mindset, for people to take too many chances is not what comes naturally. So you want to prepare for those 2-3 years for that examination, get into IIT, and then follow what the senior students have done. Even choose the institution based on what the previous year students have done. Choose the branch even based on what the previous students have done. So go exactly as per the template of the previous batches, so that you think, if I follow the footsteps of all my previous generation, then I will also be like them. And that is a kind of a mindset that they come from. So it's no wonder, I think it is what it is. They come with a closed mind that you want to go to this IIT, do this specialization, and get this job, and then get this salary. And so I think everything is very predetermined, and that is a big challenge. So for us in IITs particularly, the biggest challenge is, when these students come to IIT, they haven't even explored, anything about themselves. They have been busy preparing for an examination for 2 to 3 years. They have hardly interacted with anything in the society, and they have been, studying very hard for one examination. So when they come here, even the students don't know what are they good at, where do their passions lie. So when students come here, they don't know. They suddenly realize that they are good in music. Some of them realize that they are good in sports. Some of them realize that they are good in, acting. I think all kinds of students come here, find their passion. So our job as an educational institution now is, particularly in a place like IIT, is to, help them find their passion. First to let them realize what are they good at. And once they realize that they are good at something, I think they will pursue that path, and they will do eventually very well in their careers. But our biggest challenge is, many of them come to IITs and don't even find their passion, don't even get to know what they are good at. Because if you come with that closed mind, if my my reason for coming to IIT is to do an MBA in a particular IIM later, why am I interested in academics? No, I'm not going to study anything that is academics here, and I'm not going to even get involved in anything that looks like research projects. I will close my mind to everything else, and I will only start preparing for that CAT exam starting from my third year onwards, and then spend the rest of the time hanging out with friends and all of that. I think that is what is the problem right now that we see as a society. But that, I think, it's a matter of time. Now, once India becomes a prosperous country, like what happens in the US now, in US, many children choose their careers based on their own interest, their own passion. They don't go by what the previous batch of students have done. Because it's a developed country, everybody's basic needs are taken care of. Therefore, they can aspire to do things where their heart lies. But in India, it is still not the case. I think a couple of more generations, we will also be like the US. Until that happens, as an institute, our role needs to be to help these children find their passion, find what they are good at, and ensure that they follow that particular path. And many of them, my biggest in a way regret is I have been in the IIT system for over 20 years now. I have seen some of the brightest kids. These are the students who you just wonder how good a student can be. But then they don't really, you don't hear about them once they graduate, because they would have followed that well-trodden path. They would have been working somewhere, but you wouldn't hear much about them. I think for that to change, the society pressure also needs to ease out a little bit. The society expectations or the parents' expectations of their children need to also change a little bit. I think the children also need to aspire for something bigger. Their aspiration cannot be to find a job in this corporate and earn this salary. If they aspire for something bigger, something long term, many of them would have made something with their lives. And that is a challenge that we are all facing, and slowly things are changing. I think today, the way, for a very long time, the reason why you would come to IIT is to go abroad. I think that was the generation, I would call it IIT 1.0, where coming to IIT would mean your body reaches IIT, but your soul would have already reached the US, America. So that was a era that we went through for a long time. But now things have changed. In the last, I would say 10 years, at IIT Delhi, I can give you the data for the last 5 years. Just 5% of our students have gone abroad. Just 5% of our students have actually chosen a career which is outside India. 95% of them are staying back in the country. And this has been the trend for almost like a decade now. All these startups that you see in the country, Flipkart, Zomato, Snapdeal, Policy Bazaar, anything that you see, they have all been created by IIT Delhi alumni. The same, if you look at IIT Bombay alumni, they also have created the Olas and many other things. But I think this has now become a new trend. So many of these children now are slowly getting interested in building their careers in India, and because there are also now opportunities available in the country. So I think going abroad was a reason to come to IIT, but for some time they started staying back in the country, take up a job, but now they are all going after the entrepreneurship as a career. I think this is a trend. Another, I would say, 5 years down the line, when you see so many more unicorns would have come out of these students. And these are the same people who built the Silicon Valley. Any Silicon Valley company you see, the backbone of these companies is actually an IITian. The actual technology development happens through an IITian. But now, because of these people staying back in the country, I think the Indian startup ecosystem is now getting mature. It is still in the e-commerce space, but I think slowly they will also move to the deep technology space. And in the deep technology space, with only a BTech degree, you may not be able to just create a wealth. You may not be able to create a deep tech company, because your understanding of these deep technologies will also be very limited after a BTech degree. I hope that some of them will pursue higher careers, pursue masters and PhDs, become good at a particular subject, and start to get into the deep technology kind of an innovation, the creation of wealth part of it, not just the e-commerce or a business model kind of an innovation, which is what has happened in India, primarily because of all these startups. But I think slowly, but for that, something needs to change. And after BTech now, if you want to start a company, I don't think, you will be able to create those deep tech kind of innovation. But I think that trend also will come. I think now the e-commerce space is already very crowded. I think that the next phase will be the deep technology innovation, and there, I am sure many of them will start to do well. And for that, some of their career paths, need to also change from the very traditional way of, finding a job and all of that. And things are changing. I think another generation or two, I am very confident, the things will look very different out of the same IIT graduates.
Thank you, Dr. Ramgopal. I think you set the context very well. Things are changing for the better. In fact, I was recently reading a report about where they've identified 100 possible unicorns that we will get to see in the next few years. And definitely, we have seen some of the biggest unicorns, biggest success stories coming from IITs, and it continues to be a big aspiration. And in fact, another thing that it brings to mind is, I was listening to Jack Ma in one of his recent talks where he says that, don't be the best in something, try to be the first in something. And, the research and innovation creates that mindset of being the first. So from IIT 1.0 to 4.0, I want to switch over to Dr. Karad. Dr. Karad, I've been a very big fan of your, forward-looking thinking. And, in the recent talk at DIDAC, you had also mentioned about education 4.0 and how we need to prepare our young minds to what the industry needs. Clearly, as Mr. Sundar Pichai also said that the innovation in AI, man discovering fire and water, it is so significant. Today we see that a lot of industries across the students are becoming the best in these upcoming technologies and preparing them for a career in research and innovation to strengthen their understanding of these domains so that they can create new innovation springing out of India.
Yeah, thank you, Krishnan. Thank you, TCS ION, for calling me for this, webinar on a very relevant topic, Education 4.0, research and innovation in education. Your question is how, AI, ML, blockchain, and all these exponential technologies, by using these exponential technologies, how the student can do the breakthrough, inventions. Very right question. I think my previous speaker, Dr. Ramgopal Rao, has already, talked about the background on which Indian education, aspirations of Indian youth, and on that background, I think educational institutions are trying to develop their models. MIT group is quite old group, 37-year-old group. When MIT Art, Design and Technology University was established in 2015, it was with the same thinking, with the same, the analysis. We realized now today's Indian youth, they do not want only job. They want to really develop something, their aspirations are something different. And what are their aspirations? Their aspirations are to create the startups or the new generation, industries in our country. So that is their aspiration of the today's Indian youth. And how we can make it, so that was the question. So we have coined the name of our university itself is MIT Art, Design and Technology University. And in this university, you will find the streams like the Faculty of Engineering, Faculty of Design, and Faculty of Liberal Education, Performing Art, Creative Art, all sort of filmmaking. So all sort of, the liberal art education is available here. Journalism, literature, Vedic science. You can refer the Indic knowledge of Vedas. So all sort of knowledge is there. So with that basis, and when we analyze the today's, the new generation, the multinational companies or global companies like Apple or like Google, Apple has really integrated technology with a liberal art. They have integrated music with the technology. They have integrated film. Number of other aspects are integrated. So the mantra of the today's new age technology, new age companies is to integrate liberal education culture with the technology, because in globalization you have to understand the culture of a different countries. Without that, the managing directors of those companies cannot retain the workforce in their companies. If some Italian is working as a managing director in a country like India, he should know what is the Indian culture, and in India there is a diverse culture again. So without that, I think he cannot get that performance, that wholehearted support. So this is a liberal education. So by the way, so this is the need of the hour. So here we have started all these courses and in our technology education. And the other part we realize is that all these, disruptive technologies, what you have called is AI, ML, blockchain, all the 3D printing, then robotics process and augmented reality, virtual reality, all are the exponential technologies. And these technologies are really making the disruptions at a large scale throughout the world. And because of that, I think more and more innovations are happening. So in our School of Engineering, we have started all the graduate programs in all these technologies and super specializations in the super specialized areas of these exponential technology. So with that way, and we have adopted so basic objective was to create the innovation culture at our university. So with that objective, so the synthesis of all these technologies, exponential technologies and the liberal art, so this is and with a design thinking. So we have now introduced, design thinking as a subject to the engineering students as a compulsory subject. So they will be more innovative. The pattern of a STEAM education, in second year of our in our university, any graduate, he has to choose either any performing art, creative art, literature. There are 14 such activities. They have to choose that. Our belief is that when they will be involved in this the creative part of the liberal education, if somebody is good in a literature, and if he can write something good script for a cinema, or imaginatory script for any cinema, like that lady who wrote the picture like a Harry Potter, or book like Harry Potter, that has made a great innovation, social innovation, and that has really changed the concept. The cinema can be sold at a global level and billions of dollars can be earned. So this is the innovation, I mean to say. And with the help of the technology, they have acquired the big market. So with that concept, the tomorrow's managers, if only technology will not help him to solve the problem of his company. With some literature or with some art, he can impress the people. He can lead the people, lead his company group, and he can demonstrate the different way to achieve the targets. So that is the holistic approach we have taken it here. So we have established the holistic department in our university. The specialized courses in relevant technologies are started, undergraduate courses, postgraduate courses, and everything, and the combination, project-based learning from second year to last year, they have to do the projects at every semester. So with that concept, I think we are leading the innovation. The projects are given to, more emphasis is given to use these technologies and do some innovation, maybe small innovation, big innovation. We are signed up with so many companies, and we are trying to give them the solution. We are working with Tech Mahindra. Now our students are developing the Panchang app, which is 81% accurate in weather prediction, and that is the Tech Mahindra has really they have appreciated it. Your students could do so. All those things, recently our students have developed Bhamal language. If a particular youth does not know the English, even then he can write up he can prepare the website with the local language. That translation, that model we have developed. So all these ways, I think we are trying to imbibe this thing at our university. rightly said, research is not possible in a university like us because that research, basic research, which requires very high funding. But innovation, certainly we can do it. Innovation, application-oriented innovations by these technologies, and that effort we are trying to do it. So we have taken 360-degree, approach. Give them the design thinking subject in the first year or the second year of their the course. By that way, they will come to know what is the philosophy of design, how they can be innovative, and then now this exposure to the performing art, creative art, literature, so exposure to the liberal education. So combination they can make some product like Apple. I'm again and again quoting Apple, but they can develop any product on that basis. So now they are working with they are trying to give the solutions to the farmers by using these technologies, smart agriculture, and number of things are happening, and number of applications are there. And finally, we have also established entrepreneurship, Atal Incubation Center at our campus. Recently, two of our, the incubatees, they have got 50 lakh rupees grant from the government of India to develop their prototypes. One of the graduate has developed, the bioengineering graduate has developed the menstrual cup, a very common problem in our ladies, So that incubator has developed the silicone, non-disposable silicone menstrual cup, which can be used for 750 times. So how affordable it will be, you can understand. 750 times with a proper just cleaning that cup, you can use that cup. So this is a disruptive, innovation, I can say, and which is a very common. So this is, I just quoted from bioengineering. Now, one of the other incubator has developed something about drug delivery or something related to bioengineering. I'm not an expert in that. So with that concept, I think our final objective is to create the entrepreneurship to fulfill the aspirations of Indian youth, as Mr. Ramarao has said. So that is the vision, and I think more and more universities. So, and this is now more possible because of the new education policy in which this holistic education approach is taken. Fortunately, this approach is taken by us 4 years back only, and we could realize that now today's new generation university. So that way we say it as we are a new generation university. So we have decided what is the requirement of the society and how we have. So everything is now driven to fulfill that object, to create the entrepreneurship. If you want to create the entrepreneurship, new age entrepreneurship, you need innovations, technology innovations. So the courses, relevant syllabus, relevant departments, School of Holistic Development does it. 2,500 is our intake per year. So every day 2.5 hours are given to all the students are divided into 14 groups as per their liking, and they go, they learn. So any engineer can how to use the technology for that particular application. He can better better design the product. So that is the idea. So I think innovations are quite possible. Research is not that easy, I know, because it is funding, and I could do that. I could imbibe that belief in my faculty. Now more and more faculty is they are ignited. They are approaching the industry to take the live problems from them, and they are working with our students to work on those problems with this new technological approach, with the new the combined approach by taking the multidisciplinary projects. So this way, I think we are trying to drive the innovation, and I am very confident in coming 5 years we'll be quite happy about Dr. Ramanan, who is in charge of the Atal Incubation, that mission. He said openly, your incubation center is really he's really working with that spirit of innovation. That spirit of innovation. It is not only hardware building is created and very good furniture is not created. Here people are working and they are really, developing the new products. Our idea is that majority of our students, when they will pass out from the college, they should go out of the college with their own product, and they should work on that. So this way we are, trying to, try to, create that innovation drive, which will lead to the entrepreneurship at our university. So we are, and that way we are fulfilling the aspirations. Response is quite good, but it is a little bit difficult to, change the mindset of the people. So it is we are also facing a number of challenges to change the faculty mindset. But recently we did so many boot camps for the faculty, and that has really changed their mindset. My lectures, my constant bombarding, the by giving number of examples how innovation is happening, and without innovation, our country, our education has no meaning without education, because now the shelf life of any innovation is such a small thing. Apple company brings out a new model every year. So innovation is a driver of everything. So not only Apple, in every company. So innovation is a focus of an industry now in all sectors. Cinema, you take cinema, you take technical products, any automobile product. So innovativeness has to be there. So that has to be taught at a college level, university level, and that has to be taught in combination with the other faculties, multidisciplinary approach. So that is the way we are doing it, and that should be the way, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Very wonderful thought, Dr. Karad. In fact, it also brings to mind this famous speech of Steve Jobs, where he shares his experience of joining calligraphy classes and how it influenced his design thinking approach. And on very similar line, I can imagine the multidisciplinary approach. There's so much to learn from our own Vedas, Upanishads, and you are bringing that holistic thinking, and very nice to hear some of the innovations that you spoke about, and a multidisciplinary approach, contextualization with industry support. Fantastic set of very thought-leading ideas that you have shared with us. So I want to shift now to Dr. Vinay. And Dr. Vinay, Indian Institute that you are leading, Space Science and Technology, is today a bridge for students aspiring for a career in research, especially in space research. And this is one area where I do believe that we are second to none globally. And I still remember the India Today feature of our late President APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, as Missile Man of India. And clearly, if you see a significant aspiration amongst our youth to explore a career in research and space research in particular, and as an institution who has been at the forefront of translating that dreams into an actual career and creating an impact, just wanted to take your views on how do you sustain that passion. Research is a long game. It takes many years to create innovation, and it's I would say a very difficult area to work in, right? And you have to work in it in a sustained period of time. So just wanted to hear your views on how you create that passion, and also what would you share for other educators in other fields to replicate the things that you have possibly implemented.
So good evening all participants, and thank you, Mr. Krishnan. Since you mentioned Dr. Abdul Kalam, let me start by saying that he was the first chancellor of the IIST, and when IIST was established in 2007, and he was the magnet which drew the initial crop of students to IIST. As Professor Ramgopal mentioned, the mindset of the students, IIST also admits students from the JEE Advanced, same as IITs. So our students, or their peer pressure, parental pressure, also have this mindset of joining ISRO. So out of 1,600 of our pass out alumni of BTech, 1100 actually joined ISRO. My understanding is about 14% left to study further. Now, there is not a unique way, but what we have learned over past 14 years or so, first we thought that if our faculty, which came with a different background, brought in space as their prime research focus and was able to interact with ISRO, they will find some area of their specialization and involve students. That we found could take us some distance, and then the facilities and the scale of problem could not be handled by students. Then secondly, we started approaching the all competitive announcement of opportunities by faculty of ISRO, and our student and faculty started participating. This could succeed in some areas, but obviously the announcement of opportunity is not there in designing hardware. So now we have working on an approach where a very senior superannuated scientist sits in IIST as an advanced space research group as a chief technology officer, and they have regular meetings with ISRO center in each specific discipline and identify the research topics. So almost like 24 such research things are going on. But most interestingly, we have been able to create some facilities from building, nano sensors to even building satellites and running a ground station, that sort of facilities where students are actually designing various cards for a spacecraft. So they learn system engineering, they learn design implementation. So when our first space hardware flew in 2019, so we could really set up electronic ions and temperature measurement with such a accuracy that it could reach picoampere type of measurement. So what I'm trying to suggest is that we really need faculty problems and a design opportunity for students, which we induct first. In the second year, the students themselves interview and select students. And in third year, when they have summer vacation, they really go. In fact, 10% of our students even go abroad competitively. And in the BTech 8th semester, they really are able to contribute. At least I would say 10% are able to write a research paper. We have about 3 or 4 patent applications where BTech student is one of the participant of the research team. So it is not all across the board, but in some areas it is functioning. But I think we need to really, because we are in aerospace, we are in mechanical, we are in structure, CFD, flight mechanics, avionics. So all areas I think we need to do. But then research is very easy, not easy. Opportunities are more in astronomy. There are also more in areas like Earth observation, lot of processing and machine learning, and lot of modeling. So I would say it is uneven across discipline, but catching up. And our approach is to really encourage and even send the students to a ISRO center for a semester, entire 8th semester, so that they can really, some of them have worked on design of carbon nanofiber and couple of other things. And most recently, given the interest of ISRO in the human space program, we have taken up, such interdisciplinary medicinal research, including measuring the gases in the chamber, thermal modeling of the human body from the aerospace faculty, where of course the students are involved. This is with respect to ISRO. We have about half a dozen international collaboration with the leading global space universities, including Caltech, ISAE Supero, Australian National University, NTU Singapore. These are all very, very high-ranking universities. So their what we do is a faculty, and that faculty from there, they take a research problem, break it into small pieces, and each student does a project, and every fortnight they present the result, and then they learn how to integrate. Our view is in space, system engineering, and integrating and interfacing with all components, and building a product which is actually which will really have zero defect. It will function without any intervention from human is important. Some of the students are learning, and I also have one measure of the success that some of our BTech after their research 8th semester have been able to directly obtain admission in PhD abroad and have actually paid the bond amount to IIST and left the ISRO job and gone ahead to do a PhD abroad. So it's a mixed group, but I think we should be doing more, just because from last year, Government of India has opened the space to private universities. So opportunities are more. I think the challenge and the requirement on an institute like us to develop more space relevant development engineers is also high. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Dr. Vinay, for that very thought-provoking ideas. My next question is to Dr. Pujari from MIT again. Dr. Pujari, one of the areas for institutions to invest in research and innovation is to possibly free up time of the faculty, because in fact
I think you are muted. You need to unmute yourself. Hello?
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought I
was not able to listen. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Vinay, for your wonderful, insightful inputs. My next question is to Dr. Pujari. So, Dr. Pujari, one of the areas that institutions need to look at is how they free up faculty time, because today many institutions have to leverage faculty to do many of the administrative tasks. And in one of your recent talks, you had emphasized on the role of technology, on how to automate and free up faculty time so that they're able to focus on research. And it's very important, because if you don't give time for faculty to focus on innovation, as Dr. Karar had also pointed out, there will be not much focus in developing this and developing the students. So would like to hear your thoughts on that, sir.
Thank you so much, Krishnan, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Let me thank first the TCS IAN for making us, for this particular pandemic situation, we were very happy to ensure the automation through TCS IAN for our all process. Thank you again for the TCS. And thank you so much for all the panelists in this particular wonderful panel discussion on that. As you said rightly, like how this automation has been provoked the social media and making sure the automation of this education ecosystem, which has made the ease of the burden. See, I just have the interesting thought in this particular context. Usually what that automation, usually we talk about creation or the application of technology to monitor and control the production and the delivery of the product and the services. Usual we have the meaning, but at the context of the education, I just want to talk in this particular panel to make student day-to-day activities easier. And also you take today's business demand automation with the higher degree of intelligence. With all this, as a result, it is a prerequisite for the age to adopt the curriculum quickness on a regular basis, because industries are faster and we need to ensure the curriculum also with respect to that particular part. So how this has been taken care? So here
The current education system, in reality, if you look, it requires the depth explanation and effective utilization of the digital media. It's not only the teacher can refer the book and what you call the deliver the talk. Especially when you use the social media, we have the enough amount of knowledge and make ensure the more relevant what you call the practical example for the student to understand, and where this kind of exercise will ensure to improve the learner's connection with them and keep them engaged during the course. See, in contrast, I can tell you the automation ensure the reducing the operational cost in relation with the industry. If I want to say, every business faces the global pressures to increase their profitability, increase the productivity. As an organization technology demands grow, the productivity becomes bigger concern here, ensuring the high availability of those particular data, increasing the reliability of that particular product, and most importantly, we need to ensure optimize the performance of that particular product. So it is not only bridges the gap between active learners here and the desired field, but also keep them engaged. This will allow the trainers to concentrate on more content delivery by enriching use case examples to more precisely explain the topics. You know, the gone are the days we used to have the more of the authors from the foreign authors books we used to use and ensure the delivery of the particular what you call the topic and ensure this is what actually we need to refer. No, it is not the case. Students have a lot of effective learning and they will have the lot of practical knowledge in that. So this automation of the social media has brought all this. So the effective use of this digital learning tools in a classroom can increase the student engagement, help the teacher to improve their lesson plans, and facilitate the personalized learning for them as well. So what are the benefits if I say in this particular automation by the social media or the digital learning? I can say recorded lectures are available, 24 hours resources available, connected learning is there, self-directed studies available, flexible choices are there, written language skills are available, familiarity with those important advanced technologies there, and we can track the progress day by day or minute to minute or hour by hour. So the digital learners are on the go and more diverse than ever before today. So they are actively using the technology to learn on a multiple devices and appreciate high value, engaging, interactive, on demand course material and support and anytime and everywhere. And anywhere we can able to ensure the student can learn from the automation tool. So this automation allows the student to remain career aware at all times. It improves their interpersonal skills and raises their profile to a new level. From the perspective of the institute, it promotes the strong industry relations as well and joint research venture that will support the institute for the longer period of time. I can tell you, we know that the academic institute play an important role in science, but putting them into a practice needs industry support. As a consequence, it is important to be aware of existing market requirement and improvement from the industry. In our system, we have a project-based learning platform that teaches the people how to build a real products in areas such as programming, game development, artificial intelligence, cyber security, data science, and blockchain, and so on. So the adaptation of these kind of automation technology, especially I can talk about TCS Ion in our automation, especially with the LMS, we have got a wonderful result, and our faculty, our teachers, so our students were very much happy, and they are able to make themselves a satisfaction with the 100% level on that. So it is my takeaway for this particular question, and thank you so much for asking this question.
Thank you, Dr. Pujari, and thanks for sharing some of the innovation that you have driven at the institute. And as you rightly said, we have to keep pace with what the industry needs, and definitely I can see that that you're doing that. Working very closely with industry to contextualize learning. I'm just looking at the time. We have just crossed 5 minutes past the scheduled time. So I thought this is a good time to take some questions from eminent educationalists who have joined us today. So I would request possibly Darshan to take over from here, and we could, answer some of the questions that people who have joined us today are posting in the chat window. Over to you, Darshan.
Yeah, thanks, Krishnan. So request the audience to put in their questions in the Q&A window. We will take the questions from the Q&A window. So we'll just do a small poll, request the audience to take up the poll as well. So yeah, we have our first question. This is to Dr. Ramgopal Rao. It is important that students develop an inquisitive approach in their learning. With an open mind, they can challenge the status quo. Powerful questions will then lead to research opportunities. We would love to know more about the indispensable connection between questions and research, sir. So Dr. Rao, over to you.
That's a good question indeed. The thing is, the students who come to IITs, or any good institution in the country, they're all very good at answering questions. They have all gone through a very rigorous and tough examinations. So they are good at answering, but they are not very good at questioning. So that is the problem. And unfortunately, what is happening is that Google will, can answer many questions. If you ask Alexa or Siri, slowly, they're all becoming intelligent. You ask a question and they can answer that. So I think just being able to answer questions is no longer going to be sufficient, because if you are not creative in asking questions, then Google will replace us in answering the questions. So therefore, I think the creativity needs to start with asking the right questions. And I will tell you, I have two startups which are doing very well. And these two startups, one of them, the question that I asked is, if you have a mobile phone, and in a mobile phone, for example, you have, you can compare mobile phone with humans. The mobile phone can see things like what we can do. Mobile phone can hear things like what we can do. Mobile phones also have a touch sensitivity. The only two sensors which we have, which the mobile phones are missing, one is the taste. They cannot taste things, and they cannot smell things. Just imagine an electronic nose kind of a platform. If you can develop a sensing technology, which is an electronic nose, which can smell things, then imagine the opportunities that the phone can have. So now if you can have a mobile phone able to smell things, then you can use it, for all explosive sensing, narcotics, wherever you use sniffer dogs, you can actually replace it with a mobile phone. So can you develop an electronic nose platform? That is a question that we asked ourselves at IIT Bombay, my team, 10 years ago. And then it took us almost like 8 to 10 years of time to develop that. So we developed a nano sniffer. We call it nano sniffer. If you search on the web, you find the product on that, which is now commercially available. It's a nano sniffer to sniff explosives. And so we had to develop the electronic nose platform. But that is a question. That question, Google will not answer, or Google will not even raise those kind of questions. So there are many such places where if you ask the right question, that is what will lead to, of course, that is invention. So you can invent something, but to innovate, you need to convert that idea or that solution into something for which people are willing to pay you money, or are willing to pay money to buy that solution. So that is where the innovation comes into picture. So therefore, asking the right questions is very important. My other startup, I asked a simple question. How do you, for example, when you walk past a garden where, you need to, let us say, water the garden, the typical thing is a gardener will come and water the garden. But in the process, a lot of water is wasted. The garden doesn't require so much of water, and the Mali doesn't know how much of water to actually, use for that particular garden. The way people have solved that problem is put a sprinkler. If I have a sprinkler, you can reduce water consumption, you can more uniformly distribute it. But we ask the question, can you put moisture sensors in the garden, find out what is the optimum moisture for the garden, and you now turn off your sprinkler once the soil moisture reaches, that optimum soil moisture value. All that you needed to develop was a soil moisture sensor, integrate it with a sprinkler, and then you have an innovation right there. And you can extend that whole idea to agriculture. In agriculture, for example, 50% of water today, which is used in agriculture is wasted. In states like Maharashtra, 85% of water goes for agriculture, only 15% is it goes for the human consumption. By putting simple soil moisture sensors and tweaking the soil moisture to the value that the crop will require, and you can save huge amount of water in the agriculture. So that's an innovation. So we have a company, Soil Sense, which is actually selling soil moisture sensors and integrating them with the sprinklers and all that. Now they have NPK sensors and continued that innovation path further. I think these are the questions that we need to ask. There are opportunities everywhere. Every problem is an opportunity. Every problem around which you can develop a business model for a startup. So therefore, India has lots of problems. In fact, I keep saying that all of the world's problems are in India. So to find a problem, you don't have to go to US for an internship. You don't even need to go to library to find a problem. Just look around you, you will find tons of problem. And if only we are willing to look at them as a problem and willing to find a solution, I think it just opens up so many opportunities for our graduates and for us to innovate. That is what is required. I think answering questions is eventually will be taken over by the computers. Asking questions is what will be left to us humans, and that is where the creativity comes into picture. So we need to inculcate that habit among our students. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rao. The next question is to Dr. Mangesh Karad. On the Indian education landscape after NEP 2020, NEP talks about top universities across the globe will be facilitated to operate in India. By opening this floodgate, what changes do you foresee in our education landscape, sir?
Yeah, thank you. The question is quite good. But I think, national education policy has really, considered all aspects of Indian education, relevant, issues in the Indian education system, and they have really given the solutions to a number of that. I think one of the solutions given is they are now they are going to do the consolidation of a fragmented institution into the larger institution. So every district by 2030 they are targeting to create the higher education institution which will have the multidisciplines. Maybe majority of the faculties will be available in that higher education institution. So that is their idea, and their idea is to increase the gross enrollment ratio to 50%, which is as on today it is hardly 27%. So with that aspect, I think they have really, so they are coming towards the multidisciplinary approach. At a one campus, all the expertise, the faculties of all the streams will be available, and that will the combination will really lead will create the creative professional, very knowledgeable person, holistically developed professional. So that is their idea. And on that background, I think now they also have said it, the foreign universities, they are going to allow it. But in my opinion, after the corona pandemic, the foreign universities, now the new normal has come into existence. Digital education is increasing on a large scale, is really booming throughout the world. And on that background, I immediately do not see that that threat of coming so many foreign universities at our country, and they will establish so many campuses, because that is in our country the law. If they have to establish the universities or the campuses, they have to either go to the different states and they have to get the law passed down by that state to establish the university. In our country, there is no provision to establish the central private university in our country. Whether after this NEP, if the government of India allows to establish the central private universities, then the situation can be different. But still that much threat is not there. Indian education, Indian social structure, paying capacity of Indian people, everything is still is quite unpredictable. People are not that able to afford that education at a high price. And people who can afford that high price, they are already going to, USA, UK, other countries, to those universities. So immediately, they coming here and establishing big campuses will not happen. But yeah, few universities will come naturally once we invite them, once our government will give them the land, other facilities, they will come. Few of the universities will come. But the partnerships will increase, after this, number of foreign universities, they will partner with the Indian universities because they need Indian people, Indian student. And so they will certainly partner. So more partnerships will happen in higher education with the Indian universities uh, and the global based universities. So that thing is going to happen. And in our country, as the consolidation is going to take place, more and more universities are going to come into operation, because all this consolidation will lead to more and more universities. As on today, 1,200 universities are there, or maybe 1,000 plus universities are there. Maybe in another 10 years, another 1,500, another 1,500 universities will come into the operation. So people, only mature people, only passionate people, those who know how to run the university and what is the need of the society, they only will survive in the education sector. Now gone is the day, the people with the motive to earn some money, they will not succeed in this, in this sector. Only professional, serious people, mature people, the people with a passion, they will survive, in this sector. And those people will have partnership with the foreign universities, and that it will happen after this. So consolidation will increase more number of universities in our country. Our public sector universities will start, their sizes will start, reducing. They will die over the time. People will not go to them. People will prefer the private universities or the universities which are going to make the impact, social impact, technological impact, impact on all aspects. So those universities will be preferred by our community, by our student community, parents. So that is going to happen. And in this process, I think partnership will happen, because to learn from each other. So that is the other part, win-win situation. Once we partner with our university from the foreign country, I think we can learn from them, practices, best practices, how we can adopt, how much patience we need to have to implement those practices at our country. So everything will be learned by Indian partners, and the foreign universities will also learn how to survive in Indian, in Indian context. So they will also come forward to learn about, Indian culture, Indian society, because in globalization, they have to, India is a big market, so they cannot, remain. They cannot keep us isolated. They will certainly come forward. They will partnership. They will have a partnership with us. So this is the scenario which will happen, in my opinion. And more digital education. More and more degrees will be offered in the form of online degrees, or hybrid patterns. So that thing is going to happen. We may offer degrees to African countries or other countries where the education is not that easily available. I still remember 3-4 years back, one of the delegation from some African country had come here, and that person, when he was a dean in some university, when he saw the tractors here in Pune, and naturally he was owning the agricultural farm. He was so excited. Can I have the tractor here? Can I take the tractor from here to my country? So that was the question. So that was indicating the status of that country. So African countries are still lagging behind. So India can offer through online courses some hybrid pattern. India can export the education to outside countries at a low cost, I mean to say. The foreign universities may not be able to export education at that low cost to the developing or undeveloped countries. So that is the issue. So Indian universities can really tap the market, the foreign market. So that is a good point which will happen from this. So that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Karad. Request the audience to take the poll questions. Please complete the polling. The next question is to Dr. Vinay. This is with regard to increasing the reach of the students. So many students and faculty across the country and beyond aspire to associate with IIST. NEP 2020 stresses the need to come up with quality online degree programs that are on par with the regular programs offered by institutes. How can IIST strategize and increase its reach to a large scale of space technology enthusiasts, irrespective of their location? So, Dr. Vinay, over to you.
So, thank you, Mr. Darshan. We could start from just by looking at the structure of the syllabi in IIST. We used to call it like avionics. Basically, it is ECE. 15% of the total credits is relevant to positioning, navigation, satellite to satellite communication, and that sort of a thing. Similarly, in our, let us say, aerospace engineering, out of 163 credits, we have around 10-15% which are specifically related to vehicle design, flight dynamics, and that sort of issue. So my feeling is, while the traditional grounding courses can be taught anywhere, IIST faculty could really devise online courses in such specialized topics, and also bring in the Indian hardware and Indian application and practical and self-learning, so that we could really need not worry about the entire career, but give some add-on certificate which is space relevant. Additionally, there are some very new areas which, as a future spacefaring, power we need to do. It could be like space and society, astrobiology. Now, these are the areas where I think we really don't have that type of opportunity which we could do. There is another very third important area, that is for nurturing the 11th and 12th and first year students in specialized areas like astronomy, some mathematics, some type of other space science, planets and habitats. Suppose human beings were to go out. So the nurturing the younger students to develop a passion for space, I think, is the other key. So I believe such three type of approaches would cater to a very large cross section, and given our limited size, still we would be able to have an impact. But to realize that and really attract good students and make it a success, it would call for a lot of hard work, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Vinay. The next question, probably we'll just take this last question, is to Dr. Pujari. This is on NEP with reference to National Research Fund, NRF. NRF will facilitate research at academic institutions, particularly at universities, and act as a liaison between researchers and relevant branches of government as well as industry. So how do you see this policy in the context of current education ecosystem in India? Dr. Pujari, over to you. Dr. Pujari, you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you very much again. It is a wonderful question. We all know the National Education Policy 2020. Under that, one of the biggest announcements which has been done is that the establishment of this National Research Foundation. And to ensure, the most important objective of this is to ensure the major funding and mentoring and building the quality of research in India. We have many institutions which run with only research. Every state have at least minimum 20 to 25, depending upon the size of the state. We have the research institution as well in the various areas. The NRF aims here to ensure the fund researchers working across various streams in advanced trends and across the various higher education institutions. So one of the important goal of that, which I have already told, to ensure the fund, and we'll be able to have the most interesting part is here, the culture of research to preamble through our universities. In particular, the NRF will provide the reliable base of merit-based but equitable peer-reviewed research funding, helping to develop the culture of research in the country through suitable incentives for the recognition of the outstanding research, and by undertaking the major initiatives to seed and grow research at a state universities, state private universities, central universities, and other public institutions where the research capability is currently limited. The NRF will competitively fund the research in all disciplines. Successful research will be recognized, and where relevant and implemented through the close linkages with the I can say the government agencies as well as with the industry and private philanthropic organizations. Basically, this will ensure the major objective, peer-reviewed grant proposal of all types of across all disciplines, and to facilitate the research at academic institutions, particularly at the universities and the colleges where research is currently, you can say, at a limited level, as I told, and monitor those with the higher institutions, and liaison between the research and the relevant branches of government as well as the industry, so that the research scholars constantly made aware of the most urgent national research issues and the social costs, and so that the policymakers can constantly make aware of the latest research breakthroughs, so as to allow the breakthroughs to optimally brought into the policy and our implementation, and recognize the outstanding research and the progress and bring them to the at the national level. So in order to bring non-science disciplines of research in its domain, NRF will fund the research project across the 4 major disciplines science as per the NEP, which is disciplines like science, engineering and technology, social science, and art and humanities. So here, what is the major part of this is that the new policy have this NRF will provide, as I said, a reliable base of merit-based but equitable peer review research funding, which will ensure the, as we say, the culture of excellence in culture of research in the country, and we bring the to meet the industry, what you call the advanced technologies. Finally, I can say the strategy must be versatile enough to include a variety of industries and implement the multidisciplinary approach. There is a need to move and adopt the Industry 5.0 standards, considering the current business needs of every field. So, academic research, industry, research laboratories will collaborate in this regard to create a forum researchers where all necessary facilities can be made to complete the work at a centralized level. So, in this way, the most important objective has been brought, the NEP, this particular outstanding announcement, that is the NRF, that is the National Research Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pujari. I think we have several questions, but in the interest of time, I think we'll have to conclude. So we will try our best to get back to each of them. So Krishnan, over to you for any concluding thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Darshan, and again, what an exciting interaction it has been, and so much thought process. I've taken pages of notes over here. And the idea here is to bring leaders from academia to discuss some topics that are tough. And today we did get a glimpse of some of the innovation, some of the great ideas that each of them have shared with us. And to just quote some of them is, it's very important to help students find that passion. Our young students who join, as Dr. Ramgopal mentioned, asking the right questions is extremely important. How do we build that skill? So it's not just about answering, but asking the right question. Then the thoughts that Dr. Mangesh Karat shared with us, which is to contextualize education, focus on innovation, create a multidisciplinary approach. Fantastic set of thought process, and thank you, sir, for sharing some of the innovation that the students have brought. Dr. Vinay, again, collaboration with global universities, sustaining that interest in research and ensuring that we are able to build that set of students, leverage technology to democratize research, democratize education. Fantastic set of thought process. And again, Dr. Pujari, your emphasis on NRF, how do we leverage it, focus on innovation and how we can bring innovation. So it's extremely exciting panel that I've been fortunate to moderate today. I know, as I saw in the chat window, there were so many more questions, but we have definitely overshot time by half an hour. We'll have to end today's discussion. But one of the things that we want to do is to create this thought leadership as a point of view document that we will share with everybody who has registered, so that these thoughts are captured in a structured fashion, and then we can look at this thought and see how we can translate that thought into action and impact. So that's an action on us, and we will also look forward to reach out to everyone to see if they can answer some of the questions that you put up in the chat. Sorry, we couldn't take it live, but we will ensure that those questions are answered. With that, once again, thank everyone who has joined us today for more than 1.5 hours to patiently listen to us, and I hope you found it very interesting and it has led you to think in new direction. We are extremely passionate to bring impact to education ecosystem, and as one of the fellow panelists mentioned, the complex world that we are dealing with requires multiple minds from academia, leaders from corporate, policymakers to come together so that we can together create a better future for our students. With that, thank you. Have a great day. Signing off.
Yeah, thank you, Krishnan ji, and thank you all other panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you, Dr.
thank you,
Ram.
everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Karat. Thank you, Dr. Vinay. Thank you, Dr. Pujari. Thanking all the participants. So if you have any queries, please do write to us at inquiry.efsayan@tcs.com. Thank you all for joining in.